Okay, this is the next video in our continuation of our AWS practice exam series. So this is the third, I think, or I'm not sure it's a third or fourth. So I think the fourth one, fourth set. So it has also 65 questions. So maybe some of the questions are repeated, and we will try to attempt and see how many we will get it corrected. So question number one: an engineering team at an IT company wants to monitor the CPU utilization for its fleet of EC2 instances and send an email to the admin if the utilization exceeds 80%. So if there is an IT company, if we want to monitor CPU utilization, right, and we want to send the email, so which two services we can use? So to send an email, we have the SNS, simple notification service, that is fine. And to monitor whether the utilization exceeds or not, we have to set the CloudWatch alarms, right? So these two options are correct. Lambda is not a correct. CloudTrail is nothing. SQS is nothing. Like these are incorrect basically. Which of the following AWS service comes under software as a service? So software as a service. Imagine EC2 is like infrastructure as a service, and Beanstalk are like also like a platform as a service, load balancing as a recognition. Recognition is a kind of a machine learning services we can just use, and we will like upload some images. It will recognize like how many people are in that image, like and maybe where is the text written. So it's a recognition service is a software as a service. Which AWS service would you use to send alerts when the cost of AWS account exceeds? So for the alerts related to the cost, we have the AWS budget, only one service. Which AWS service should be used when you want to run container application? Okay, for the wherever you see the container application, the ECS will come into the picture, but want to avoid operational overhead. So ECS, like Elastic Container Service, that is also Elastic Container Service. Okay, Elastic Compute Clouds are wrong. AWS Lambda also form first and third, but it says we want to avoid the operational overhead of like managing servers or all these things. So we don't will go with the EC2 launch time. We'll go with the Fargate. So under the Fargate, like we don't care about the underlying infrastructure. Which characteristics of cloud computing imparts the availability of acquired resources as you need and release? So like for the cloud computing, there are so many features: elasticity, availability, like reliability. But they said like the ability to acquire resources as you need and release when you no longer. So it's come under the elasticity. How I learned this? So elasticity, the general English definition of elasticity is like if you consider a rubber, so you can expand and you can release. So that is called as elasticity. So similarly, the resources you can need. So if you need, you can like need it and you can release it. Basically, like if you want to use the EC2 instance, you can just spin up the EC2 instance. If you don't need, you can terminate it. Right. So that is come under the elasticity. An organization has a complex IT architecture involving a lot of system dependency, and it wants to track the history of changes and of each resource, which AWS services. So basically, they want to track the changes of each resources, so which track the history of the configuration change. So it's the AWS config. So we already see this in the practical. So basically, like in our like Apple, like infrastructure IT company, we have a lot of resources, and we want like SSH 22 port should not be open in any of the resources. There are so many sources. It's very difficult to track. And if someone spin up any EC2 instance without attaching any security group, or maybe with the wrong security group, so we are not going to manually check each and everything. So we can just use the AWS config. It will automatically like track the configuration changes if there any like who did the existing configuration changes. So AWS config is the correct answer here. Which of the following the correct about AWS developer support plan? So there are like basically four support plans: basic, developer, business, and enterprise. So basic is normally whenever you create the account, you will come under the basic support plan. Then the developer, so which is just if you want to develop something for your like dev environment or the Q environment, then basically we will use the developer support plan. For the business, if you want some production support, then we can go with the business. Or enterprise is even more enhanced. In the enterprise, you will get the personal training, personal labs from the AWS team. So personal some manager allocated to you. So but we need to say like, okay, under the developer support plan, what is the correct? So allow one contact to open unlimited cases, correct? Allow one contact to open a limited number of cases. So basically, if we want to do some support from the AWS team, we can do the chat, we can raise a ticket, right? So under the developer support plan, one person can open unlimited number of cases. So there is no limitation. And under the developer plan, like it's not the not allowed to the unlimited contacts. Unlimited contacts for the like under the business or enterprise. So only one person, but that can open unlimited number of cases. What are the different gateway types supported by the AWS storage gateway service? So first we need to understand what is the AWS storage gateway service. So let's suppose you have the on-premises service, on-premise. So under the on-premise, you are storing the files like maybe in some tapes or in some volumes or on your file system. Maybe on your computer, you just created a notepad file. So on a file system or maybe some tapes or volumes. And we have the cloud. So on the cloud, we have the S3, there is the object level storage, the EFS file system level storage. So storage gateway is in between the on-premises and the on our like AWS cloud. So it's a gateway service. So we want to transfer this file. So what are the different gateways supported? So like how what are the option of an or our on our own premise service which will be supported by the gateway? So tape gateway, because if on premise service we have the tape, so tape gateway is supported, that is fine. File gateway and the volume gateway. So if we on premises we have the data in the form of tape, on a form of file, or in a form of a volume, all these are supported by the AWS storage gateway. So tape will go to the, I think, the EBS, elastic block storage. File will go to the EFS. Volume maybe go to the S3. So a data analytics company has some data stored on Amazon S3. I want to do SQL based analytics on the data with minimum effort. So which service we will use? So there is a Athena service. So let's suppose generally what happened, we want to store some data or maybe some logs or anything on the Amazon S3 service, on Amazon S3 bucket, but we want to run some SQL queries on those files. All right. So how we can run? It's a file only and it is only on the Amazon S3. So we have the Athena service. We have not covered in my previous videos, but there is an Athena service. So Athena service is just to run the SQL queries on the Amazon S3 file. So that is correct. Which of the following AWS service is essential for implementing security of resources? Sorry. So we have like resources in the our AWS cloud. So how we can like secure them? Using the IAM only, not the CloudWatch, not the Shield, not the WF. WF is just for the web application security. Shield is for the DDoS attack. CloudWatch is just to store the logs or alarms. IAM. So using the policies. So let's suppose I created my database or anything or any S3 object. I want to secure it. No one can like delete the object. No one can write the object or even read the object. So using the IAM policies, uh, I can like implement the security on all the resources. Which of the following AWS source services can be used to prevent DDoS attack? So we need to select the three. So DDoS attacks, as soon as it's a DDoS attack, we have the AWS Shield. AWS Shield is like useful for the to prevent the DDoS attack only. But we have to select three. So let's try to see. So HCM is wrong option. HCM is just like to encrypt the data, but to encrypt the data in not in our like kind of a tape system. And Route 53, nothing. Trusted advisor, nothing. So WF is the like a web application firewall. So if we have some web application, then we can prevent from like unauthorized access. So WF is could be like okay. And inspector is for the security vulnerabilities. Can trusted advisor is nothing. CloudFront and the Route 53. Cloud front and the Route 53 HCM is wrong. So trusted advisor. So out of cloud front is just to to not to prevent. So maybe just to give the low latency. So inspector could be the option. It will used for the secure to find the security vulnerability. So these three could be the answer, but we are just attempting our questions, but whether it's correct or not, we will go to know at the end of the video only. As per the AWS shared responsibility model, which of the following is the responsibility of the customer? So from security point of view, so managing and patching the guest operating system, okay, patching the AWS infrastructure, no. Configuration management of AWS infrastructure, no. Availability of management, no. So if there is a guest operating system is like the operating system not managed by the AWS, but it's managed by the customer. So it's customer responsibility to patch, basically to update the operating system on the regular basis. A company is using a message broker service on the on-premise application and want to move the messaging functionality to AWS cloud. So which services is the right one to move? So Amazon MQ. So Amazon MQ is like the service on the cloud, and they are using the messaging service on the. So these are the compatible service. So a gaming company is looking at a technology service and can deliver a consistently low latency gameplay to ensure a great user experience for end user, which AWS technology will provide the necessary low latency access to the end user. So direct connect, totally wrong. Direct connect is just to connect the data from the on premises to the cloud. So wrong. Edge location, wavelength. So here is the local zone. This is the repeated question we covered in the previous video. So local zone is the correct answer, because if we spin up the services under the local zones, so we will experience very low latency. Which service gives a personalized view of the status of the AWS services? So if we see the personalized view, it's directly come under the AWS personal head dashboard. So it will give you the one kind of a dashboard, but on that dashboard only those services which we are able to see, which either we are that using, or which will directly or indirectly impact our services, not all the services. So if you want to see all the services, then we have the service head dashboard, but it is the personalized view. So under the AWS personal head dashboard, which of the following statement is incorrect about AWS auto scaling? Okay, you can. So auto scaling. So auto scaling is if there is a demand, so new instances will be added. If there is not a demand, then the instances will be removed. So this is kind of auto scaling. So you can automatically remove unhealthy instance. Definitely correct. So if there is an unhealthy instance, it will automatically remove. You can scale out and add more EC2 instances to match, and so definitely correct. You can automatically register a new instance to a load balancer. Okay. You can automatically deploy AWS Shield. So that is wrong. So that's not part of the AWS query. So first three are the AWS scaling, but not the fourth one. Which of the following solution can be used to connect your own premise service with the AWS cloud? So how you can connect? So one is a direct connect, and one is the VPN. Using the VPN, we can connect with the AWS cloud, and using the direct connect. So VPC is just for the within the AWS Route 53, and internet gateway is basically if you we have the EC2 instance on our VPC and we want to access the public internet, then the traffic will go to the internet gateway. A customer has created a VPC and a subnet within the AWS cloud. Which of the following statement is correct? Okay. A subnet spans all over the availability zones in the region, where the VPC spans only in one availability zone. So totally wrong, because VPC is even like a wider area. Subnet is only particular not a very wider area. So correct answer could be a VPC spans all of the availability zones in the region, but a subnet spans for the. So we have the subnet. So subnet. So for the one availability zone, there is a one subnet network. So another availability zone, there is another subnet. So subnet spans across only one availability zone, but VPC span across all the availability zones within that region. Which AWS service enables user to find, buy, and immediate start using software solutions? So marketplace. So marketplace is a place where we can find, buy, sell something. Which AWS service publishes up to the minute information to the general status and availability of all AWS services. So if we have to see the all AWS service, we can directly go to the service health dashboard. But if we want to see the only the personalized view, then we have the personal health dashboard. If the all, then we have the service health dashboard. An organization deploys IT infrastructure in combination of its own premise data center with the AWS cloud. So it's the hybrid cloud. If the any company is using the on-premise data center as well as the AWS cloud, so it is called as the hybrid. Which AWS service can be used to store, manage, and deploy a Docker? So when we see the Docker, suddenly we have to come into the mind ECS, like Elastic Container Registry or Elastic Container. So EC2 and Lambda is wrong. So here the question is to store, not to run. Just to store, we have the ECR, the registry, like Docker Hub. So we have the Docker Hub is like third party, but like in the AWS, we have the ECR. A photo sharing web application want to store thumbnails of user uploaded images on Amazon S3. Okay. The thumbnails are rarely used, but need to be immediately accessible from the web application. So in which S3 bucket we want to store? So rarely used. So we will not going to show into the standard. So that is fourth is wrong, but need to be accessed immediately. So second is also wrong, because if we stored into the Glacier, then to retrieval time is more. So one zone infrequent access and the standard infrequent access. So we will go with the one zone frequent access. Which of the following statements are correct about the AWS account root user? Okay, so we need to select the two correct options. Root user credential should only be used with managers, so that is wrong. Root account get unrestricted permission when the account is created, but this can be restricted using IAM policy. Wrong. Root has all the permission. Root user access credential are the email address and the password. That is correct. Root user account password cannot be changed. Totally wrong. It can be changed. It is highly recommended to enable MFA on the root account. That is correct. AWS Compute Optimizer. So recommend which of the following. So this already covered. So Compute Optimizer is one of the services which will like give you some recommendation for few of the service. So example, so if you spin up some EC2 instance and you spin up the EC2 instance with maybe like 128 GB of RAM, and you are only running a Hello World program. So AWS Compute Optimizer will recommend you are using 128 GB of RAM, and like high much of amount of CPU, but you are running a very basic application. So I recommend you to save the cost, decrease your configuration. Similarly for the Lambda, so if we spin up some Lambda, we're running some Hello World application, and on the Lambda we allocate a like 1 GB of memory, then it will recommend don't use the 1 GB RAM, even 1 MB is also okay. So which server resources? So one is the EC2. So EC2 auto scaling group and EBS volumes and the Lambda function. So these are the correct. So EBS volumes also, like if we are attaching the EBS volumes, but we are not, if we are using the EBS volume, but it is not being attached to the EC2 instance, so it will tell us. So this EBS volume is like unutilized. Which of the following AWS service allow a database to have a flexible schema? So flexible schema is for the NoSQL database, and NoSQL database is one of the option, only DynamoDB, and also the support document data models. So which AWS service can be used to provision resources to run the big data? So where is the big data? We have to select the EMR. So Elastic MapReduce. So MapReduce come into the big data. A retail company has a multiple AWS account for each of the department. Which of the following AWS service can be used for the consolidated billing? So we have the AWS organization, because it says the multiple account. So if say the multiple account, then only the AWS organization has the facility to handle multiple accounts. And in the AWS organization, there is a concept of the single billing, not the billing for the different AWS account. A developer has written a simple web application in PHP and want to just upload his code to AWS cloud and have AWS handle the deployment automatically, but still want access to the underlying operating system. Okay, so which service? So they want to spin up the web application. So for the web application, we have the Beanstack. So Beanstack, so EC2, if you use the EC2, then we can use the EC2, but they said that he want the AWS handle its deployment. But if we use spin up the EC2, then we have to do the deployment. So that is our cloud formation is wrong. ECS is totally wrong. It is for the Docker to run the Dockers. So Beanstack is like, if we have to manually run our application, so what we will do, we will spin up the EC2, we will attach the auto scaling group, we will attach the load balancer. We have to manage all the things. But within the Beanstack, we will just like deploy our code, and it will automatically spin up EC2, automatically attach the auto scaling group, automatically attach the load balancer. But still we can, it will spin up for us, but we can access those EC2s. So Beanstack is the correct answer. An online gaming company wants to block user from certain geographic, okay, from accessing its content. So which two services can accomplish this task? Okay, so it's the online gaming. So one is the WF, like application firewall. So if you give the firewall, then we can like block the users. AWS Protect, there is no such service, so that is a kind of wrong option. AWS Shield is for the DDoS attack, so to prevent the DDoS attack, but not to prevent some users to access the application. So that is wrong. CloudWatch is just to store the log. Route 53 is correct. So in the Route 53, if we go with the, like there are the so many routing policy, like the weighted routing policy, simple routing policy, failover, and when you have the latency and the geolocation. So geolocation routing policy. So if we implement the geolocation routing policy, then we can restrict only these. If the user is from this geographic location, then only that person can like access our application. An IT company want to run a log backup process every Monday at 2 a.m. The runtime of the process is 5 minutes. As a cloud practitioner, which AWS serverless function? So serverless is a Lambda, and we have to use the CloudWatch to store the logs. And they also said the runtime is 5 minutes, and on the Lambda it is recommended if your code run take 15 minutes, so you can use the Lambda. Access key ID and secret access key tied to which of the AWS entities? So it entered with the user. So if you create any user, then you will able to see the access key ID and the secret access key. Not with the group, not with the role, not with the policy. Which of the following AWS service are always free? So IAM is always free, auto scaling is always free, DynamoDB you have to pay, EC2 has to pay, S3 is also to pay. Which of the following options can be used to access and manage all AWS services? How you can access AWS services? Using the console, definitely correct. SDK, that is using code. CLI, correct. So rest three are wrong. Which of the following AWS services are global? So IAM is the global services, and what else? So CloudFront is also the global. EC2 is the region specific. S3 is also region specific. RD is also region specific. Which of the following AWS services are part of the AWS foundation services of the reliability pillar of the well architect framework? Okay, well architect framework. So it's a kind of a reliability pillar of the well architect framework. So what they basically said is like there is some like guidelines, or whenever you spin up some services, or to spin up some microservices, you have to follow, it is recommended to follow those things. Example, whenever you spin up any services, you should use the VPC, all right, and you should use a service quota, so that you should not like unnecessarily exceed from the service quota. Along with that, you should use a trusted advisor. So trusted advisor, so that it will like give you the recommendations or around the security and the performance. CloudWatch is nothing, just to store the logs. Tail is, so cloud formation is a template to spin up the infrastructure. So these two are the correct answer. An organization is planning to move its infrastructure from its on-premise data center to AWS cloud. As a cloud practitioner, which option you recommend and can identify the right AWS services? So if you have to like, if any company wants to move its on-premise data center to the AWS cloud, they want to identify which are the right services, because on the AWS, let's suppose I am storing my data on the tape, but I want to know now on the AWS cloud what is the corresponding services. So one is the service catalog. We can go to use the service catalog, and we will able to see, okay, this is the corresponding services or the best services which we can use, along with the partner network. So we can like take the advantage of the partner network. So they will suggest which of the following is the correct statement regarding the AWS storage services. Okay, so S3 is the object level. We can store the video, audio. EBS is the block level, elastic block storage. EFS is the file storage, like elastic file store. So that is correct. A startup is looking for 24/7 phone-based technical support for its AWS account. So which is the use case, like the most cost effective? So that is the phone-based. In the basic, we can't even do the chat. We can't even do the call. In the developer, only chat option is available. In the business and enterprise, we can do the call. But enterprise is like most cost effective. So business is the, I think, the correct answer. Which AWS service plans with global application availability and performance using the AWS global network? So that is the global accelerator. So global accelerator is like one of the service like which will increase the performance. Okay, so even by using the by reading the questions, say the global and then say the network and performance. So the rest of all the option is like we can like exclude, eliminate easily. So global accelerator is the correct answer. According to the AWS shared responsibility, which of the following are the responsibility of the customer for the manage RDS? Okay, managing the underlying server, no, it is the responsibility of the AWS. Applying the patches, no. Database encryption, yes. Applying the party patches to the RDS data, no. So encryption is our responsibility. If we are storing something data, it's our responsibility to encrypt that. Which of the following statements is correct for a security group and the NACL? So this I think we already covered in one of the videos. So there is a difference between the security group and the NACL. So whenever you create any EC2 instance, who can access your EC2 instance? But like and what can go outside from your EC2 instance? What can go inside your EC2 instance? That will be depend on the security group. But that security group lies in one subnet. What can come inside your subnet, that can be decided by the network control list. So security group act as a firewall of the AG level, no. Security group act as a firewall of the VPC level, no. Security group act as a firewall at the instance level, correct. And the network access controller act as a firewall at the subnet, so that is correct. The AWS well architect framework provide guidance on building cloud-based application using AWS best practices. Which of the following are the pillars? So there are 6 pillars. Like whenever you spin up any microservices, there are 6 pillars. We have to take care of those. So what are those 6 pillars? So it should be cost optimized. Like if we have to spin up any EC2, we have to make sure it should be cost optimized, not like blindly spin up with the high number of CPU. Even we have to use the Hello World application. So cost optimization, and it should be reliable. So reliability. So we have to schedule like whether the system should be reliable. So we have to attach the like load balancer to make the system reliable, or maybe deploy the source in the multiple AG zone. So make it reliable. So these two looks correct to me. Which tool will help to review your workload against current AWS practice for cost optimization, security performance is the trusted advisor? Which of the following statements are true about AWS Lambda? Okay. Allow you to install database, wrong. You pay for the compute time, correct. Allow you to orchestrate Docker container, wrong. AWS Lambda provide access to the underlying operating system, wrong. AWS Lambda let you run code without provisioning server, correct. What are the fundamental driver of cost with AWS cloud? Okay, so compute cost we have to give, storage cost we have to give, but there is no cost for the inbound. So, but for the outbound data transfer, we have to give the cost. Due to regulatory and compliance reason, an organization is supposed to use a hardware device for an data encryption. So if they have to use the hardware device for the data encryption, they can use the cloud HCM. An e-commerce company want to access its application, deploy on EC2 instance for vulnerabilities. and deviation from. So inspector can like do the security assessment and find the vulnerabilities. A fleet of Amazon EC2 instance spread across availability zones, edit and share file-based data, and need to access, edit, and share file-based data store. So file-based is EFS. Because like in some question, you can just read some keywords and you can easily guess the correct answer. Which AWS EC2 pricing mode is the most cost effective and flexible with no requirement for a long term? So if we just only read the half question, that is the cost effective, we can go with the reserved instances. But if you read the full question, that is there is a no requirement for the long term, we will have to go with the on demand. Because if there is a requirement for the long term, then we will go with the reserved instance. But there is a no requirement for the long term, then the most cost effective is the on demand. If we have to use the EC2 instance for the 5 minutes, then we will go the on demand. We'll spin up the EC2 instance, we will do the work for 5 minutes and then terminate. So that is the most cost effective. A company flagship application runs on a fleet of Amazon EC2 instances. As per the new policy, the system administration are looking for the best way to provide secure shell access. So that is the session manager. So without opening the new port. So this we already covered in practical. So if we want to access some EC2 instance, but we don't want to open the SSH port, so how we can access? So there is a service called a session manager. We can use that. Which AWS technology or service help to scale your? So scale is auto scaling. Which AWS Route 53 routing policy would you use to improve the performance for your customer by routing the request to the AWS endpoint that provide the fastest experience? So that is the latency. So on the base of latency, okay, then we can do the Route 53 policy, routing policy. Which of the following are the example of the horizontal scalability? Okay, modify a database from higher CPU RAM. No, that is the vertical scaling. Read replica in Amazon RDS. Okay, modify an EC2 instance T2.nano to some another like instance type. So that is a like vertical scaling. Add a bigger CPU. That is also vertical scaling. Add a load balance. So basically, horizontal scalability is like add some extra instance. So in a read replica, we are adding some extra instance. And in the load balancing as well, like load balancing will only work like there are like two or more instances. Which policy describe prohibited use of the web-based of services offered by the Amazon? So that come under the acceptable use policy. So basically, this is a kind of a document in which it is written. If you are using the AWS resources, you have to use for the correct purpose. So you can't use the resources for hacking purpose or to attack somewhere or to release some virus. No. So that is mentioned the acceptable policy. So this is the acceptable condition. Rest are not the acceptable. Which AWS compute services service which AWS compute service provide the easiest way to access resizable compute capacity on the cloud with support on per second billing and also access to the underlying operating system. So EC2, because EC2 we can access the operating system and that is the per second billing only. A company wants a fully managed, flexible, scalable file storage system with low latency. So that is the file-based file storage system. So EFS. But for its window-based application. So for the window-based application, we have the FSX for the Windows file server. A social media company wants to protect its web application from SQL injection or cross. So if there is a web application, then we have the one service that is the web application firewall. Which of the following statement is correct about the AWS pricing policy for data transfer? So for the data transfer, only the outbound data should be charged. Both inbound, no. Only outbound data transfer is charged, correct. Which of the following use case not supported by the Amazon recognition? So Amazon recognition machine like machine learning services and a software as a services which is used to like recognize something in the photos. So detect text correct, identify person correct, label photo correct, quickly resize. No, so it will not going to resize. Multiple availability zone deployment is example of. So if we have to deploy the something in the multiple edges because of high availability, we want high availability. What is the primary benefit for deploying an RDS database in the multiple AG? Okay, multiple AG enhanced database availability. That is correct. Which AWS support plans access to the technical account manager. So if we want the technical account manager, then it's come under the enterprise. A multinational company wants to migrate its IT infrastructure to AWS cloud and is looking for a concrete support team, as well as the response time should be less than 1 hour. So response time should be less than 1 hour coming under the business and the enterprise. But also they have mentioned that they are looking for the concrete support team. So it comes under the enterprise only. As per the AWS shared responsibility model, which of the following is a responsibility for a AWS? Server-side encryption, no. Customer data is our responsibility. Edge location movement is definitely their responsibility. IAM is our responsibility. So finish the test. So we have one question wrong. So let's see which question is wrong. So go to the incorrect. Okay, so here we have to see the three option. Which of the following AWS can be used to prevent a DDoS attack? So web application firewall, correct. Shield is definitely correct. And third is Amazon CloudFront and the Route 53. So let's see the AWS CloudFront, the Route 53 service, a distributed network of proxy serving data centers. So the world class edge location using the global network of edge location for application delivery and DNS service plays an important role in building a comprehensive defense against DDoS attack. Okay, so this is like basically wrong. The correct answer is inspector is, I think, just to do the security analysis. So that's why this is wrong. So inspector is like a automated security assessment of services. So to find the vulnerabilities. So that's why. So CloudFront and we have to select the three. So that's it. That's the end of the video. Thank you.